Good morning and welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you as always for stopping by. I hope the week has gone well. Sub-Saharan Africa, in an article about the election in Nigeria, this caught my attention from Sisikelo Breakfast, a lecturer at the University of Stellenbosch's School of Security and African Studies, who said old institutions that have remained undemocratic need to be reformed, and the political space needs to be opened up for people to participate meaningfully. That could take a long time, depending on how long the political elite continue ignoring the growing voices of discontent. Cyril Ramaphosa ended quoting Ben Okri, lovely quote, "We dream of a new politics that will renew the world. Under their weary, suspicious gaze, there's always a new way, a better way that's not been tried before." Breaking, MTN Uganda's CEO Wim Vanhelleputte has been deported. A letter signed by the country's internal affairs minister, this is Uganda, JJ Odongo, says Wim Vanhelleputte has been deemed an undesirable immigrant. So lots of drama with MTN everywhere you go to look. South African all shares up 3.39% this year. The rand, according to Bloomberg, is back on its perch as the world's most volatile currency, as investors priced in the risk of a credit downgrade while awaiting details of South Africa's rescue plan for the state-owned power utility. So that's from hero to zero, as it were. Dollar rand, this is a 6-month chart, 14.1467. We've actually been in this range from the time of Zuma, if you have a look at a longer-term chart. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Egypt cut the overnight deposit rate and the overnight lending rate to 15.75 and 16.75 respectively yesterday. And a couple of points. Firstly, in 2018, if you simply bought Kenya shillings or Egyptian pounds, put the money on 1-year T-bills and then cashed it all in at the end of the year, you would have been in the top 1% of global returns, which is something to consider. I disagree with President al-Sisi on many things, but the fact of the matter is he played a textbook playbook when it came to the economy. He devalued early. Look at Nigeria still mucking about with a 2-tier system. He got on with it, and frankly, Egypt has been a screaming buy since last year. Egyptian pound versus the US dollar, one of the most stable currencies for quite a while. These double-digit local interest rates obviously supporting it. The significance of the Nigerian elections for Africa is tremendous, said Nick Fromage Hom, if you want to follow him on Twitter. While most Nigerian elections since military rule ended in 1999 concluded acrimoniously, the last contest 4 years ago saw the first ever transfer of power to the opposition via the ballot box and was hailed as a watershed moment for the nation's almost 200 million people. The significance of the Nigerian elections for Africa is tremendous, said Nick Cheeseman, a professor of democracy and international development at the University of Birmingham. A flawed election and the political instability this could generate would not only undermine confidence in the feasibility of democracy in one of Africa's most important states, but also slow economic growth in West Africa and the wider region. Cheeseman did a study of 44 African nations, showed almost every criterion used to evaluate the state of democracy slipped between 2015 and 2017. Many states pay lip service to staging elections but have made little headway in giving their citizens a real stake in their economies, he said. They are aware that the rest of the world is busy with bigger issues, said Becky. This is Thabo Mbekis's brother. In Africa, things are most likely to get worse, he said, before they get better. Half of the 44 nations evaluated by Cheeseman, who analyzed the results of a transformation index compiled by the German research institute Bertelsmann Stiftung, have autocratic governments. Mauritius and Botswana were the only two classified as consolidating democracies, while South Africa, which has an election in May, and Kenya were among 15 considered defective democracies. Nigeria was described as a highly defective democracy. And I've written about this severally, the Congo result, for example, which is just mind-boggling. It's the equivalent of, I don't know, lifting some Green Party candidate and putting them into power. You look at Sudan, the problems there. You look at Zimbabwe, where I certainly the opposition won there as well. Nigeria in all shares up 3.26% this year. Worst performing stock market during Buhari's tenure in the world, but kind of seeing some bottom fishing going on now. Ghana Stock Exchange down 3.27% this year. I've returned to Abiy, of whom I'm a fan, and I said in July last year, these 90 or so days represent the most consequential arrival of an African politician on the African stage since Mandela walked out of prison, blinking in the sunlight, and constructed his rainbow nation. This is the economy that the Prime Minister took on, inherited. This is from Ethiopia Hour, and what you can see is the debt profile. Have a look at that, and then I'm going back to my July 2018 article in which Abiy said, we are in debt, we have to pay back, but we can't. And secondarily, we aren't able to finish projects we have started. And at that moment, he announced his economic pivot. Hambantota is the example of what can go wrong in Sri Lanka. I said the Prime Minister needs to execute real quick on the economic front, but if he levels the playing field, a whole troop of folks will be looking to pile in. The diaspora, foreign investors, our own Safaricom, and I think he's getting there from my perspective. This is Ethiopian FDI. Returning to my article in July, he's moved with lightning speed. He reminded me of a Virilio comment, whoever controls the territory possesses it. Possession of territory is not primarily about laws and contracts, but first and foremost a matter of movement and circulation. And I think that's what Abiy's done. Fintech in sub-Saharan African countries, a game changer. Interesting report by the IMF. I haven't read it in full yet.